water held a secret like a shard. For a breath I saw a shoe sinking, brown leather, mud on the sole, then the lake smoothed, and a shoe lay on the shore where no one had been standing a moment before. What had just happened was not water, not reflection. It was a promise that hadn't yet been kept.
The water spelled two words at once, welcome and beware. I'm Samnang. This is where we trade comfort for curiosity. Find somewhere dark and quiet. Put your headphones on. Tonight's story is called Tomorrow's Mirror.
The town sits in a hollow between ridges. Mornings here are measured by bird song and the fairy's first oar. On a cold morning, the air tastes of wet stone. I remember it like the back of a hand. People fish at dawn, mend nets on porches, drop off envelopes at the same counter for years. The lake is part of that rhythm. It keeps its own hours, and sometimes it keeps its own counsel.
There was the ferryman, old as the rope on his boat, steady as the oar.
He never hurried, a neighbor told me. He hummed like the lake could patch anything.
Maya came back with fox tracks on her boots and stories in her pockets.
And Nora, her sister, walked away on a Tuesday and didn't return.
The first odd thing anyone could agree on wasn't dramatic. The ferryman told me about a ripple that showed a child slipping from the dock. Then, reflexively, he reached and pulled the child back. He swore the reflection had moved his hands before his mind had registered the fall. He called it a blink, a trick of light. Most days he called the lake home. That afternoon changed the way he watched it.
I saw my cup fall, and it still broke. A woman who runs the diner told me. She kept her voice small, like it might spill into the silverware drawer.
After that, stories grew like algae. A fisherman said his reflection spat out a line of words he hadn't yet thought, and those words nudged him to cut bait an hour early. A woman who carved bird decoys swore the lake showed her a crack in a block of wood before the blade did. Little futures folded over the present like wet paper.
Curious. People began to treat the lake like a neighbor with a temper. There were rules, half-remembered and spoken softly. Don't stare for too long. Don't try to force what you see. Never call out a reflection by name.
It asked for a little choice and took everything, someone muttered when the argument turned to blame.
That pattern, the baiting of small futures, tightened. The lake would show an image of something likely to occur, and if you moved to stop it, your action often made the image truer. Warn someone about a falling cup, and the cup still falls on a different table because your warning folded into the event. Choices became part of the prediction. The lake did not just show, it asked, and people answered.
Lena told me about the first time she saw her sister in the water. Wet hair, the particular slouch of a pack, walking into the reeds until she vanished. Lena followed that reflection step for step. I couldn't help myself. Who could? She said later, and the question hung between us.
There are decisions that are quiet and irreversible. Lena's was both. She walked into the reeds because she believed the lake could show a way back. People say she walked toward an image. Others say she walked into a memory that wasn't hers and couldn't be reversed. When someone walks into the thing they have seen, the water remembers it in a different voice.
Weeks passed, witness accounts tangled. The ferryman kept to his boat, eyes on the skin of the lake, which sometimes shimmered like a cracked mirror and sometimes looked plain as glass. People left notes pinned near the dock, warnings and requests. A few wrote lists of things they would not allow themselves to see again.
The search that began one night moved between soft things, splashing boots, flashlights, collars,
and harder ones, impossible questions about whether seeing a future makes you responsible for it. Some wanted rules, lights along the water. Others kept quiet, as if the lake wouldn't take kindly to commands. Notice the silence. It changed the way the town listened to itself.
Then, Maya found herself staring at a reflection walking out between reeds, arms carrying a small pack, boots leaving a thin trail. The reflection did not look back. Maya turned away, then turned back, testing whether the lake would keep its promise. She stood up and followed.
"Lord, that lake has opinions," an old man said to break the mood one evening. And for a heartbeat, people laughed, because humor keeps us human.
What drives someone to step toward a mirror of what is not yet real? Curiosity? Grief? A hope you can bargain with an image? Maya later told friends she felt brave and foolish in equal measure. Her hesitation, the size of a heartbeat, was all the lake needed to fold its image into the world. Time felt elastic that night. Every choice echoed. Breath sounded too loud in ears already tuned to listen for anything the lake might offer next. The searchers found objects, and each object was a little accusation.
They found a pack.
Damp, smelling of reeds.
A note, ink smeared, corners soft.
Footprints that didn't line up.
"I saw my cup fall, and it still broke," the diner woman said again, as if repeating it might change what she had seen. Nobody could say whether the lake had offered truth or laid a snare by showing them a way to believe.
After the search, the town felt rearranged, like furniture shifted in a room you thought you knew. Nora combed her sister's messages, replayed old words, and watched the water at night to see if the reflection would move. The ferryman stopped humming. People who once laughed at superstition stepped around the dock as if skirting a live wire.
Seeing tomorrow makes you responsible. That's the hard sentence the town learned. Psychologists called it anticipatory guilt. Folklorists called it old stories dressed in new light. Mix them together, and you get a landscape that's part moral puzzle, part weather system of conscience.
"It asked for a little choice and took everything," someone said again, and the words became a kind of chorus, blame, explanation, plea, shifting between houses like smoke.
Some stopped looking into the lake at all. Others made pilgrimages at dawn with objects and whispered petitions. A thin white line appeared along the dock, an attempt at a threshold, a reminder that some things are safer left on the surface. But the lake keeps its reflections, and sometimes, when the wind drops, it gives them back like a hand returning a stone.
I stood at the dock on my last evening, watching a small, perfect stillness. The surface offered me a glimpse. My own hand, reaching toward a small, folded note. An image of me about to make the choice to look. I didn't reach. I stepped back. The lake's mirror didn't break. It only waited, like any patient thing does, until someone chooses to finish the picture.
Nature here was not malevolent in the cartoon sense. It didn't stalk or whisper threats. It offered information that changed the shape of people's lives. The horror is human, the hunger to know, the temptation to fix, and the slow, inevitable calculus that every choice has a cost. On the last page of Nora's story, she told me something quiet. Sometimes, when the town is asleep, she walks to the water and watches her sister's reflection, just to see if it moves. There is no neat villain. There are choices. There are hands that reached and hands that withdrew. And there is a lake that keeps track.
If you ever find a mirror of a future, if you ever find a lake that shows what comes next, remember this.
Seeing is not proof of safety. What you do with that vision matters more than the image itself. Do you feel that? The dread that follows is not from water, but from choice.
If you're still here, it means the story followed you to the end. Take a breath. Look around your room. Make sure everything is exactly where you left it. I'm Samnang. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who listens in the dark like you do. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, check the corners. Keep your eyes open. And your lights. Maybe not too bright. Good night.